he was like, how does it feel to, have your first $1,000 month or whatever? And because I never made that much money before ever.
Yes, you can write a policy here, you can write a policy there with this carrier and this carrier and this carrier and this carrier. But if you start focusing and concentrating and focusing your efforts onto one, the energy grows in that bonus.
Well, I will share this as well. The pivotal point was I had my last closing in July, which was it would have been for 2.2 million.
Thanks for joining this week on the Elite Sales Podcast. I'm very happy to be joining the studio with our guest who is not quite here yet. It's Tiffany Heron.
The Valley Drive is far.
Who knew that LA had traffic?
A lot of it.
We got John Background co-host.
We do it.
Producer Bryce, working behind the scenes here.
The magic hands.
We got a couple of remote guests I'm very happy to hear from. We got Jeff Beverley joining us from the East Coast, formerly New York, now Rhode Island, which we'll get to you in just a second. We got lots of good stuff to hear from you.
Yeah.
We also got Jason Steiner, who's going to be joining us from good old Tennessee. Mm-hmm. But before we get started, what we're going to be talking today actually is about, we're going to be talking about where your focus goes, energy grows. Did I say that right?
Close, I guess. Yeah, I think so.
There's so many iterations of it, but where your focus goes, energy grows. So basically, it's just wherever you put your energy into, like something's going to manifest out of that. Okay. So let me tell you the story about myself from last week. Last week we had Brett from Ethos that came on and shared about the IUL product, and really cool deal, up to $1 million in instant decision IUL. The illustrations actually look pretty solid. I at first I thought it was terrible. I remember talking to a couple people. I'm like, this is trash and this is awful. But
is it too pricey or
no? You could play with the different types of solves. And then I put one where I did like retirement in the future. I'm like, that's not what I was expecting. But then when you did just the maximum cash value, then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And then, I cross compared. I ran a couple other illustrations side by side with a few different people or a few different carriers with the same age, and looked across the board. And, for the amount of the type of underwriting for you to be able to get instant decision, not have to deal with all that back and forth with the carrier and waiting for the APS and setting up an exam and all the other stuff potentially, it was a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
So last week we talked about it, and they had an iPad contest. So the first 100 agents would receive it, right? So for me, I was like, sounds like a great deal. I'm like lined up somebody. We actually was going to sign a producer, Bryce, because we've been talking about that. He's been recording all my content, and he's like, this would actually be a good idea for me to get one, wouldn't it? Right? And I was like, cool. I was going to write myself up, but California is not yet available because, thank you, California government.
Yeah,
you guys are awesome. It's truly awesome.
Department of Insurance.
But so we talked to Bryce and we game planned it ahead of time. So I was like in a week in advance, and I was like, all right, so here's what we're gonna do. Like I'm like, starts at 6 a.m. Pacific time. So I don't know if you're an early riser, but can you get up at that time? We're gonna do an app right there, right when you get up. So then we started the application, go through, and it's up. I was telling John and like all the fellas, I'm like, I don't really need an iPad. I just want to do it. I just want to get it. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm focusing all my attention into that, putting my focus into like, all right, I'm already going to wake up early, but I want to make sure I get all my stuff out the way so I can just sit there and do the app at 6 a.m. And then, get to the point where I call up Bryce. We start the application. The first thing it says, you're not contracted for this product.
So your Emeritus didn't get contracted.
So that's what it popped up at. I actually prepared. I know for certain I did do it. Yeah. So then I was like, proceed anyway. And I figured they'd figure that out in the back end.
Right.
And then I continue through. We did the application, completed all the way through. And then I hit submit, and it says, you're not licensed in this state.
Man.
Bryce is a resident of Idaho. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So then I was like, did I not have the state of Idaho? Because I have like 40 plus states. I assume Idaho was one of them. Maybe it wasn't. So I went and paid for it again just to get it. And it says like, all right, you've been approved. And then so I ran it again. I called Bryce back and I'm like, let's do it. Let's run it back. We ran it again. And then still didn't process yet. So for whatever reason, it didn't happen. But all the energy was growing into that one thing. I was obsessed with just trying to get that iPad. I wasn't caring about the commission. I wasn't caring about getting paid. it was a product that Bryson and I had talked about because, you know, for a young guy like him, it's an awesome product to that with that much time. He's 20 years old, 21 years old. And then that much time for it to compound, it would build a real substantial amount of cash value with very little premium, you know? So it can go a lot farther than old farts like us, right?
Yeah.
So get to that point, I'm just like, oh man, I put all my energy into this because I was going to make this thing happen. But then turns out that little stupid mistakes just kind of just like tripped me up. And I don't know if it was like a glitch. I don't know if it was whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm like, we're right there. Almost made it happen. But just so I don't really know what the point of that story was. I just thought it was kind of funny. But make sure that you guys get your stuff in order. If you guys are committed to making something happen, like, you know, it's not just like I'm deciding I'm going to do it, because we actually just talked about this earlier. It's like when people say like, I'm going to change my life or I'm going to change my career, I'm going to do it. And then, you know, typically we're like, so what are you going to do about it? And they're like, I'm just going to work really hard now. I'm like, so does that mean you weren't working really hard before this? And they're like, no, I'm just like, I'm ready. My time is now. And I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do differently? And they're like, I'm just going to work really hard. It's like, okay, you feel like you want to work hard right now, but if you just want to work hard and you don't have everything lined up and you don't have a plan, and you're not really to commit to something and change something, then it doesn't really translate into something sustainable. You might get some short-term results. You might get a burst initially, but that feeling may eventually wear off. So you have to have everything set up properly if you want to set yourself up for success.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good start to have that motivation, right? But then if you don't have a process, where are you going to fall into once you lose that motivation, right? What structure do you have? What schedule do you have? So you're going to work really hard. What does that mean? How broad is that? You know, I'm going to dial all day. What does that mean?
Right. Because even something like working hard it's a very subjective thing. Because like there's some people that you could be doing the same amount of work and one person could say, wow, I worked really hard today. Or they could be working for like an hour and they could be like, I worked really hard today. When in reality is worked hard for a spurt, you know, for a finite period of time. Where someone could be working the entire day and then they're just conditioned to it. They've been used to this, and then it's just not even hard work. It's just work.
Yeah.
So those things are all very relative. So you just got to make sure that you set yourself up for success. And, you know, part of that is gaining the experience, but also, you know, learning from others and looking at people whose results you would like to have. Because, you know, everyone's got advice. Everyone's got opinions. Doesn't mean they're all good, you know, but you can still take something from it, because sometimes you'd be like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't quite want those results. So maybe that's not for me. Right. And that's perfectly fine. So if we're talking about where focus goes, energy grows. I mean, Jason, if you can unmute yourself real quick. So we got Jason Steiner, who actually qualified for the cruise to the Bahamas with FFL.
Hey,
congratulations, my man.
Thank you.
Also, we were talking about all the new changes to Prosperity, which are really exciting, right? And so just once again, to recap the Prosperity changes that are coming up, October 16th, I believe, is when it's going to take effect. We have, first of all, the text signature that's going to be coming up. So similar to Americo's, a 6-digit code. It's texted to the client instead of telling them, hey, go look at your email. And then you have the senior that says like, oh, I can't do it without hanging up on you.
Yeah.
So
annoying
if they're on the phone. So I mean, this way they'll just get the text message, they'll read it back to you. You enter that'll constitute their signature, and then boom, you can move on. So that's something that's coming up. Starting off with New Vista first. That's the final expense product with prime term to 100, and with family freedom term that's coming shortly. Okay. So that's the first announcement. The second announcement, the really exciting part, is we're all accustomed to the Americo 6-month bonus. You know, you have 6 months to qualify. What's the amount you have to qualify with? 51,000 or 54,000?
They increase it by 1,000 or 2,000.
So somewhere around 50,000 for the 6-month period. If you qualify for that, anything at that level and above, that total amount, you get a 10% bonus given to you at the end of the year. At one in the summer, one right before Christmas, works out great. Okay. Then Prosperity came out with a bonus, and then they did a 10% bonus also. So it's a 10% bonus for every quarter. So that's, you know, right now we are in the final quarter of the year, October, November, December. So whatever you issue pay in these last 3 months of the year, minimum of $25,000 issue paid. If you do that, anything above that, it is 10% bonus.
Right.
All right. Now, the exciting part about the prosperity bonus is that they're actually escalating that bonus level up. So they're going from 10% for the first qualification. The second quarter you consecutively do it, it moves it up to 12. The third consecutive month moves it up to 14%. And every consecutive quarter, after that is a 15% bonus. So it's like a bonus and a half of what you're accustomed to, right?
For being consistent.
For being consistent. So the way I've calculated is if you just do the minimum 25,000 issue paid for that quarter, which is how much a month? So
25, like 7,800 or so.
Right? Like $7,000-8,000 a month issue paid, right?
Yeah.
You're helping 8 families a month with just prosperity. So if you do that for 3 consecutive months, or you can do 25 in 1 month, it's up to you. If you just did 25,000, instead of getting a regular $2,500 bonus at the end of the quarter, you'll get a $3,750 bonus for doing the same amount of work, right? And then anything obviously above that. So if you did 50,000 during that quarter, it'd be double that. So you'd get like over 7,000 for that bonus. Not a bad deal, right? On top of your already high comp and whatever bonuses that you may get, this is a bonus paid for by the carrier. So you really guys should maximize it. So we're talking about, hey, the way that you maximize your bonus in this situation is, yes, you can write a policy here, you can write a policy there with this carrier and this carrier and this carrier and this carrier. But if you start focusing and concentrating and focusing your efforts onto one, the energy grows in that bonus, right?
Yeah.
In this case, energy is money.
Yep.
And that money gives you energy, unless you go and spend it on something stupid like you go and drink with it. But either way, this is an opportunity for you to really try to refocus where your business goes. And obviously do what's best for the client. And if there's something that doesn't fit in this particular carrier, then you gotta do what you gotta do. But for the most part, I mean, I look at the breakdown of business for a lot of agents, and I'm just like, I wonder why they just put a policy like with all these different carriers. Why don't they just like write with one? Number one, it's less to follow up on. Hey, Tiff, on it. It's less follow up work for you to do if it's just like with one rather than having a bunch of different carriers to follow up with. Also, if you have like debt, the thing is it clears out the debt faster, and it just gets everything much more organized. Hey, Tiff, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, let's get you set up. And then so that's the way that you want to try to structure as much as possible to maximize your bonus money. So you could do that with Prosperity, you can do that with Americo. Mutual of Omaha has a 10% bonus. But we're trying to expand the portfolio to be able to have more products and more things that we can write within each specific carrier suite. So this way we can maximize your money. So just keep that in mind. At the moment, Prosperity is the highest bonus. I love Jack Heller. Jack Heller's my guy.
Yeah. Shout out to Jack Heller. He actually just solved the problem for me. I'm dealing with a death claim with the client. There were some billing issues, and funny enough, for some reason, the policy's active, but she got a letter when she called in to try to claim the death claim saying that they're not going to pay out. And she freaked out. So this was yesterday. She got the letter from the phone, and she calls me at 7 p.m. last night. I immediately got on the email to show proof that, it's active. I have paper trails of everything. I CC Jack Heller. I get a response from his automated response from his phone saying he's out of town or he's out unavailable until October 3rd or 5th or something. But he responds an hour later saying, hey, CC'd like the top guys from accounting to fix it. And then this morning he gets another email saying, yeah, we got this reopened. We're on top of it. Jack Heller's the man.
The man.
The man.
He goes by Jack GSD Heller.
Yep.
He gets done.
Oh, okay.
Jack got it done, man.
So he won't be able to join us for this upcoming LA Sales Conference, October 23rd, which by the way is in the Angelus Temple now. They moved the venues from the Proud Bird that's right here by the office. They've actually moved it over to next to the Dream Center. So it was a cool venue. We went there last time.
Yeah.
So if you guys go to the Arizona conference, then go say hello to Jack. Otherwise, we will see you here at the LA conference of the year. But wherever you guys are at, there's one local in every single region. So wherever yours happens to be. But all that being said, I mean, we love Prosperity. Prosperity's been awesome. That 15% bonus is a game changer. That text signature also helps a ton. So Jason, we were talking about this the other day, because as I brought up, I had a bunch of people text me and they were excited. We were on live dials at the moment, and everyone was just like, Prosperity is like asking for all my business. Like I might as well just give it to them.
Yeah.
Right. So you said, a really slept on product happens to be prime term to 100. And I think a lot of times it's very misunderstood and people don't know how much it can benefit them. And they can work it into a lot of cases in which we think, oh, this client probably can't qualify for insurance. We might have to go guaranteed issue, but instead we do have this product. And you said it's actually better because a lot of clients actually prefer that when you present it side by side with another guaranteed option. Can you please explain and help us understand how to use that better?
Yeah, for sure. And talking about Prosperity, like with Americo, I'm not bad mouthing them by any means, but what I love about Prosperity that's different from Americo, I've had people get pre-approved, but then at the end, the final draw, they might not get approved. With Prosperity, you find out right away before any payment is taken, right? And then, like you were saying too, if you just keep focusing on one carrier, it makes life so much easier. And even with, like, say if somebody's payment didn't go through, you get that email, all you got to do is email them back and they respond like that. It's just so much easier with Prosperity for me personally than dealing with, say, just other carriers in general. And then just with all the options with the whole life, the Vista, with the family freedom term, and now with the prime term, it's honestly a one-stop shop. It really is. Like, what, there's almost no other carrier you need to try. And with the prime term, what I love about it is when you explain it, the difference between AIG guaranteed issue and this, almost every time, I honestly don't think there has been a time where they're like, I'd prefer the other company, because the rates are definitely a little better with Prosperity. The biggest difference is they got to answer no to 3 questions. Can you take care of yourself? Are you dying? Do you have a pulse? That's primarily the only 3 questions they ask.
Paraphrased a little bit, but pretty close.
Yeah, you know it. But when you're like, yeah, you just got approved just by answering 3 simple questions, that's like, congratulations. They're like, oh, that's so much easier, you know, and they go for it. And how it breaks down, I do read this off to my clients. So if something would happen in the first year, they would get all their premiums back plus 15% as opposed to plus 10%. Second year, and this is different by age, but they would get 30% of the full face amount if they're between the ages of 40 and 74. And then if they're above 75, they would get 40% of the full face amount if something would happen to them in the second year. The third year, 60%, 60 to 70% of the full face amount. And then the fourth year, the whole policy would pay out. So there are differences between guaranteed issue and prime term. But when you explain it to the client, I'm telling you, almost everybody goes prime term. They really do. They like the idea of getting a percentage of the entire policy paid out in the first 2 years, or sorry, that second year and third year, as opposed to just 110% of the premiums they paid in the first 2 years with AIG.
And talk about the pricing. So how do you feel about the pricing compared to prime term versus, AIG's product?
Yeah. So typically I would see, honestly, about $10-15 a month difference at least. Sometimes it's even more drastic. So the pricing makes sense. Just the breakdown of the payments makes sense for them, and it's honestly so easy. And then once the text signature comes out, it's game over. It's game over. That's the biggest setback with Prosperity right now, is getting people to figure out how to sign. Like, I'm waiting right now, hoping this guy figures out how to sign right now. What's this, Art? But once they get that text down, it's game over. Like, Prosperity is going to be the one-stop shop for sure.
That's right. And just to kind of to add on to the prime term to 100. So the thing is, one key distinction from this to most other guaranteed issue plans is guaranteed issue is from ages 50 to 80. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have Great Western that starts at 40 to 80, so that's always an option. But prime term to 100 issue ages is 40 to 80. So if you get someone that's a little bit younger, that's not in great health, and they won't qualify for a traditional level day one coverage or for a graded coverage, you can always pivot to this. And here's another major added benefit of prime term 100 versus a guaranteed issue. Guaranteed issue, hey, we're lucky we're able to get the client covered. Now that's the first priority. They have some coverage in place. It's graded for the first 2 years. So if they pass away, they only get their premiums plus 10% back. This one, if they die in the second year, they already get 30% of the face amount, which is going to be more money.
Right. And
Okay.
it's in technicality, it's not really the second year, it's your anniversary of your first year. Because after 1 year hits on your 366th day, that counts as your second year.
Right.
So they just gotta outlive it by 1 year and they're getting 30%.
Right.
Mhm.
In addition, those other ones, you get your commission up front. I think they bumped their advance up to 75%. Used to be 50% for AIG for
Mhm.
guaranteed issue, but now they've stepped it up. They did 75%. So thank you for that. But
Yep.
but Prosperity Prime Term actually pays renewals.
Yes.
That's a major distinction. So it helps the client. You win as the agent. It's a win-win situation. It's just something to really look and consider.
Yeah. Not just to mention commission wise, it's a big difference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I want to say it's like 90%, something like that. Like it's high. It's a lot higher than guaranteed issue.
No, it's
like
whatever
15-20% higher more than the guaranteed issue.
I believe.
Yeah.
So it's
Something like that.
between 35 to 40% off your FFL comp. Whereas it's like
Right.
50% off your FFL comp with AIG.
Right.
So big
And-
price difference.
One more thing about the prosperity bonus with that,
Do.
really, I love this aspect. The 25,000 that you have to write in the quarter, that the premiums just have to stay on board for the free look period.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there aren't so many clauses to the bonus. It's like you just got to get it. You know what I mean? And then if the policy lasts for a month plus, it counts. Plain and simple. Just write good business, let it stick. Boom, you got it. There aren't so many variables for it.
Right.
Which I
Yeah,
like.
Yeah, which is good because you know that directly because you hit the
Mhm.
production level at 25,000 just from July to September. So which is a good thing. Congrats. But you kind of have to wait 30 days then to see which sticks.
Mhm.
And so sometimes I've run across a situation where I had agents reach out to me and they said, oh well, the client really wants a level coverage, so this is a graded policy. So if they die in the second year of having the policy, it's only 30% payout. If they die in the third year, it's only a 70% payout. And then they get it after 4 years. Like, is there anything else we can do? And the answer is like, no. I mean, if we could have written them up if they were healthier, we could have got them an immediate coverage for day one level coverage. But there is a reason why we need to pivot to this product in the first place. So it's still a better alternative than going with a guaranteed issue because you only get the premiums paid plus 10%. So that's going to be less. So that's just for you guys to kind of help better understand those situations. And I don't know, I've always joked with clients about that when they're like, well, what if I die earlier and I don't get the full amount? I'm like, that's easy. Just don't die earlier. and then, we always have a laugh and I'm like, there's a reason why we need to go with this product. If you were healthy, I would love to show you the other products that we have available, but we got to go with what works right now. So we'll reevaluate in a couple of years. I'm your agent going forward. We can always continue to see if there's new options when they come out, and we'll be in touch. So at that point, you just get them in with what they can get. The client wins, you win. Carrier wins, you get your bonus. Everybody wins.
Yeah. And then lastly, Jason, for the common client that you flip from AIG to the prime term, what's the common situation where you can get them a prime term over AIG? What common conditions?
It's like lately I've been doing a lot with veterans, so a lot of it's psychiatric type things. I've had some who had cancer in the past 4 or 5 years, something like that, and I just couldn't get them approved. Or even one guy, it was a driving record, which was interesting, and couldn't get him approved for anything but prime term. It worked.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know prime term actually accepts
HIV
and AIDS.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I've had about 4 out of 5 people with HIV get approved with it too. Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else to add about that product, or to help people enlighten people about prosperity so they can add it to their portfolio a little bit more?
Yeah. I would there's just so many benefits with prosperity, in my opinion. It's with other companies, you're either approved or denied. Again, like just knowing right away, like they could get approved for level, they could get approved for graded or modified. And then if that fails, boom, you just go prime term, and even their term products, their rates are tough to beat. And it's honestly, I'm all about that prosperity life. I keep saying that, but it's just so easy. And then once that text thing comes out, my goodness, come on. Come on. And it's one of those things too. like that $55,000 bonus, or 55,000, that 55,000 seemed a lot for me, a little daunting for America. When they break it down per quarter, I don't know, it just seems more attainable, you know. So someone like me, newer to writing more often, it was encouraging to me, because I kept getting people who I couldn't get approved through other carriers, but with Prosperity there's something, you know. Or I kept getting people who only have Direct Express. Boom, Prosperity takes that.
That's a
You
huge
know,
part.
that's a huge factor for me. And that's not part of the bonus thing. It's not like, okay, but if they pay Direct Express, it doesn't count. It counts. It counts, baby. Come on. You know, so
Nice.
there's literally nobody you can't help. Okay, that was a bold statement. There's next to nobody you can't help with Prosperity in some way, shape, or form.
That's right. I agree.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, awesome. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing. In addition, I mean, obviously, Family Freedom Term is competitively priced. I mean, Jack came in and showed me the spreadsheet, and he's like, "Let's look at these carriers. Our rate's cheaper."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, you actually pulled up all their rates, and you guys actually priced it accordingly from the actuary." So I'm smart. There's currently no return of premium, but he said it should probably launch sometime next year, which is we're a quarter away. So we'll have the return of premium with the Family Freedom Term also. So that'll take it to a whole new level. The IUL products, as we've been hearing with Ethos, obviously we have all our other great carriers with IULs, but I've been in Jack's here trying to get that in the works too, making sure that they have that product. I'm like, we can go all that. We load up on the bonuses here and then let the other carriers catch up, because they're going to see the amount of bonuses that are being paid out, and they're going to be like, how do we get some of this business? We better step up our game with the bonuses, and there we go.
Yeah, that's the reason why America went up to 10%.
Yeah,
because Jack came out with the 10%.
That's right.
And so now Jack went up them again with the 12 and 13, 14 and 15%.
Yeah.
So
hey, we as agents win.
Yeah.
Nice little carrier competition.
Yep. That's right. That's right. So Tiffany.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's been a minute.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
It has been.
What have you been up to?
For those who don't know who I am, my name's Tiffany. I've been with FFL for like a year now, about a year and a half.
A little longer.
A little longer,
Yeah.
2 years. It's been 2 years. Finally fully transitioning from full-time real estate agent. So
congrats.
Yay. I made that decision early August. But
you reached out to me yesterday.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So the in-between time was me clarifying my vision, which was something that I actually found out I didn't have for myself before.
Love to hear that.
I grew up as a golden child. So a lot of the things that I was doing was for the accomplishment of my parents and not necessarily for me or my authenticity and, what was really impactful for me.
Okay.
So I felt unfulfilled. And, this is the vehicle where that fulfillment is brought.
So your parents wanted you to get in real estate?
No, I actually started off as a biomedical engineer, and my mom was very educational based. So things that she didn't get to accomplish, as the youngest child and being the smart one of the bunch, was kind of heavily pushed on me to do that and go that route and become a doctor.
I see. Yeah, I can see that, but
yeah,
it's good that you had some time to reflect and recognize what you wanted to focus on, and now you're putting that energy into it. Because so for those that don't know, I mean, Tiffany started with us over a year ago, probably like close to 2 years, and I remember I'm like, man, this girl's got a lot of potential. She's got a lot of skills. She's got this like energy, and I see her on social media, and I'm like, if she just applied it in the insurance game, she would kill it.
And not just that, but we knew like you speak like 3 languages, right?
I do.
What are the 3 languages?
English, Spanish, and Korean.
Yeah. Korean.
Mm-hmm.
She speaks Korean from
Nah.
K-Town. So she knows the LA market. Got the Korean market and the Spanish market. I'm like, dude, you can make a killing here. But of course, you had other ventures and endeavors, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would see you on social media and you're doing all your real estate stuff, and I'm like, she must be killing it out there, because this, you own all your social media stuff, and it's for me, like I've been doing it for a while. I still feel all awkward about it sometimes. Like I was trying to record a video the other day, and I'm like, just kept me starting over, and I was like, I sounded looked terrible, and I just kept redoing it. But I'm just like, I'm just gonna get through and just do it, because like I'm not gonna overthink it.
Yes.
I just kept fumbling through the lines, and so eventually I did it. So when I see you, I was like, yeah, she just applied herself to one thing. But I knew that I didn't even know how many things you were doing. I just knew you were doing real estate, and I was thinking you were doing several other things. All the time. So I was just like, okay, well, I mean, when it's the right time for her, I hope she comes back to insurance at one point, and then hope she dives in, and then I think she'll have a lot of success. I got a text from Tiffany yesterday, and then she said, "Hey, you're gonna be at the office yesterday," and I was, or tomorrow, and and I was like, yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, I want to come in and talk to you." I'm like, "Oh, great." And she was, "What time are you gonna be free?" And I'm like, "Well, we got the podcast at 2, so why don't you come on in?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Actually, why don't you just hop in and join us? You know, since you're on social media, you're comfortable with it. We always like having a new perspective and voice."
I love that.
And then I was like, "Unless you're planning on quitting, then don't come on.
Don't.
That'd be terrible content." And then she was like, "It's actually the opposite. I'm getting into this full time." And I was like,
Yes.
"Awesome." I was
course.
really excited. I was really excited.
Thank you. And again, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate your openness. I am a testament to the statement that you can lead a horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink.
Correct.
You know, the door can be open, but it's up to the person to be able to see that opportunity that's open and also be in alignment with that vision. And, you know, take the step and walk through the door. So that's pretty much what happened.
Okay. Well, you said you made the decision in August. So what led up to that point? I mean, you don't have to get fully into details, but what was the trigger?
Oh my gosh, the trigger was this leadership and emotional intelligence training that I went to, which is it's here local in LA County. It's in Culver City, actually. It's not something that they market. It's just, you know, by word of mouth. And
Is it expensive?
no, it's actually extremely affordable. Less than a policy, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
So well, what we make from a policy.
Okay.
For the standalone policy.
Yeah.
$50.
$50. No, not $50. But you can, you know, write one policy and it'll cover your tuition for it. So it's a leadership training. There's 3 levels, but really I found a breakthrough at the 2nd level, which is the advanced. And what it really is, it really dives deep into, like I said, emotional intelligence, you know, about your childhood, your authentic self, you know, where your blind spots are in your business and your personal life. And when I went in that, I realized, I was like, they're like, "Well, what is it that you want in life?" I'm like, you know what? I actually don't know, because everything up until that point that I wanted was not really for me, like I mentioned. So I finally got to discover that and, you know, really align with the vehicle that, you know, aligns with the vision. And this is it right here.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I've seen some of your listings on from your social media, and I was like, man, she's at some baller places.
Yeah,
And
$1 million Beverley homes and
Right.
stuff.
Yes.
So, I mean, obviously the real estate industry has a lot of potential. And also it doesn't cash flow the same way as insurance. I know that's a major difference.
Right. Sustainability.
So what was what's the big distinction of wanting to come do it in insurance rather than staying with real estate?
Well, I will share this as well. The pivotal point was I had my last closing in July, which was it would have been for 2.2 million, but I'm a great negotiator, so we got lots of seller credit, and it was actually for 1.9. I was representing the buyer. Okay. So that was my last closing in July, and you know, I had this money in the bank account, and I was like, I'm still the same person. I don't feel any different. Something is missing from my life. And that's when I decided to enroll into the training, and I found everything after that. Wow. So that was the pivotal moment for me.
Okay. Anything you could share for somebody maybe listening in? I mean, not the whole cost of tuition of something, right, but maybe in a broad spectrum of like, okay, what's the steps that you got you to see a vision?
Yeah. Okay. So absolutely. So there's a series of games that you do.
Okay.
They have a trainer in each level. So you have a trainer that speaks to you and really enlightens some things, you know, victimhood versus responsibility, you know, going back into your past, what are some things that you didn't let go of or that you might be holding on to that you don't know that you're holding on to, the vision that you see for yourself, and just, you know, being able to come together in a collaborative environment, have great energy, great people to be surrounded by and with, that kind of help you to hone in on the things that you need in your life. So it's not specific to like, okay, this is going to help you create more money. Okay, is it going to help you build better relationships? Is it going to help you finally open up that business or, you know, travel the world? Whatever it is that you're looking for in your life that you feel is missing, or if you don't know what that is, to be able to identify that and then work towards it.
Awesome. Well, great stuff. I mean, I'm truly genuinely excited. Like,
yes,
we're gonna chat a little bit more after this. I just wanted to have you on, but
thank you.
Look out for this young lady here. She's gonna be making some waves.
Making
waves. No pressure. We're just telling everybody out here. All right, but Speaking of focusing your attention, which is what we've been talking about. So, that was a perfect segue because, she kind of inspired me to think about all this other stuff. I was looking at her decision. I was looking at prosperity and how do we maximize money with that, maximize the bonus money. We got Jeff, who actually just transitioned from another profession. He decided to start doing this full time, and in his first full month, along with Micah's help, Micah's been fantastic here. He puts in a lot of work with his team and lives up to the name of exceptional. But Jeff, in his first full month, has helped over 21 families.
Wow.
So that's a real great start. So I'm looking forward to many bigger and better things from you as well. So Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Pleasure to be here.
All right. So you also recently made a move as well. From location wise.
Yeah, I was a truck driver since 2001. So, 23 years pretty much. I met Micah first over the phone about 2 years ago. And I think I told you the story, Albert, of how I got into this, right?
Right.
So, I was 38 years old and, I was sitting home and I tried various different things that didn't end up panning out for me. So I was like, I wasn't depressed because I don't really get depressed. So I was just kind of like sitting on a couch, 38, like, man, what am I going to do? If I don't make a move now, I'm going to be in this truck forever, right? So I ended up just flipping open TikTok, and the first video there is Albert talking, right?
That's
talking
awesome.
talking about how it's not uncommon for part-time agents to make a month, and I was like, that's too good to be true. And usually when you hear that, it usually is. I'm thinking it's a scam. So I start searching on YouTube, family first life scam, typing everything in, couldn't find a single bad thing about it. People just said you just got to put in the work hard, be dedicated, be disciplined, and you have a real license and you can make the money. So from there, went to familyfirstlife.com, called the number. They hooked me up with Micah. He was the closest to me, and pretty much the rest is history. That was 2 years ago. So I worked part-time. I was still driving a truck. I was with a company for 8 years. They were not allowing me to take time off. I was working 75 hours a week, 6 days a week, 12, 14-hour days. And I was making six figures, but, it was blood money. It was, I had no life. I basically, by the time I got home from work, I'd go to the gym, make dinner, go to sleep, wake back up at 4 a.m, be back in the truck till 5, 6 at night, and just do that every day. So, I needed more time to start this, right? Not just a Saturday and Sunday. I wanted Friday too. And they said, no, we can't give you the time off. So I quit. And I ended up going to work with a friend of mine. And he's like, I'll let you work 4 days a week. This way you could do your own thing 3 days a week. And, I did that for part-time for a year. And then it got to a point coming up on this past August where I told myself, I was like, I'm getting to the point now where I feel like I'm not doing this enough to build up enough momentum to get where I want to go with it. So I made the decision to, leave that other job behind also, come here with all the money that I had and just throw myself into the fire,
Yeah, I mean, could you touch on that a little bit more? Moving from New York out to Rhode Island, like obviously Micah's out there, and was that the main thing, just to be around that team, to be able to have some more hands-on help?
Yeah, well, Mike has been, a great friend and a great mentor to me. He's taught me this business from scratch. If you would have talked to me 3 years ago and said I would be selling insurance, I'd be like, you're out of your mind, bro. You're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? And he is the reason basically why I came here, because he's very knowledgeable, and I wanted to put myself around the people that are where I wanted to be. So it wasn't like a massive move. It wasn't like moving. It was just moving across the Long Island Sound, pretty much. So, and again, I didn't have the ability to work in my own backyard in New York because most of the companies that we're contracted with don't do business there. So, my first month actually selling, I would drive my truck to Connecticut. I put my truck on a ferry every weekend, and I would go there, do in-homes. And then it got to a point where it was becoming expensive, $150 round trip for the ferry, fuel, and then driving to another state and getting no-showed. So I remember one day I only had like a couple appointments booked, and I got no-showed on both of them, but I had all my leads printed out with me, and I went into the ferry parking lot and I said, I'm not going back to New York, my tail between my legs. And I just started dialing all the leads again. booked another appointment, drove 20 minutes away, and then sold it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's been good so far. This is actually my second month. So I got
Okay.
here August 1st.
This is your
was
first
my-
full month, right?
Well, no, August. I moved here August 1st, right?
Got it.
So obviously I wasn't hitting the ground right away. I was still setting things up
Sure.
and,
Right.
you know, so I think that first month in August I did like 7,800 or something like that. And then, yeah, this past month, the 21 and change. Yeah.
So to help 7-8 families in the first partial month, and then to help 21 families in this month. I mean, was it anything extraordinary? Was it based off of an extraordinary skill set that you have that other people coming in brand new, like a Tiffany, like can a new agent be able to do that if they actually just commit to it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, you know, like I said earlier, I didn't feel like I had enough time, you know, just doing it 2 days a week. My skill set wasn't there. You know what I mean? And then I would have a 4-day gap where I would be back in the truck and then I would revisit this another 2 days. So, you know, now that I've been doing it every single day, I feel like I've been getting better on the phones, getting better with product knowledge, and just all around, you know, getting better. So when you're doing it every single day, it just comes faster in my experience.
So how do you operate your business? Are you still doing in-home? Are you doing remote or virtual telesales? How are you conducting
both.
your business?
Yeah,
Everything?
yeah. So we've been doing hybrid. So me and Micah actually run a lot of in-homes together, a lot of mortgage and stuff. Um, Also some final expense, you know, and then lately I've been you know, doing more virtual over the phone. So those have been working out good. I've been doing a lot of like cash value stuff, which I really like, because, you know, everything we do helps everyone, you know what I mean, regardless of what it is. But I feel like there's a good buzz right now around, especially on social media, for the cash value stuff. People are really into that. They're interested in it. And, you know, as you know, a lot of people don't know about it because the government places such tight restrictions on the insurance companies being able to advertise it. So, you know, when I talk to people about it, they're like, I don't even know that existed, you know? So, yeah, it's pretty cool, man. But yeah, overall, I've had a really, really good experience here. And like I said, I mean, I got to again thank Micah. He's been like, you know, a blessing to me, man. He's helped me out extremely.
Yeah, definitely. He's a tremendous asset to the team, and you know you're lucky to be working in a group like that. And it's funny. I mean, I remember when we met in Florida. So we talked. I think when you first came on, we started talking about some annuity opportunities, and then I remember talking to you, and you were in New York, and I was like, that's gonna be tough because it's so restrictive over there. We're in California, so we know what overregulation looks like.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know, we talked a little bit, and then ultimately we met at the national convention in Florida, in Miami. And then you're like, you told me the whole story, how you saw me on TikTok, and that's how you learned about the insurance industry. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I was like, you saw my face first and you still ended up coming aboard. Like, it's a miracle.
You're TikTok famous.
Yeah. It was like meant to happen, bro. Because
was.
like I said, it was like the first I turned TikTok on, and you know, my algorithm should have never been set for insurance because that's, you know, I was looking up just like, you know, funny stuff, you know, all the time. But yeah,
Yeah.
you popped right on, man. And I just took my own initiative from there to look into it more, and I'm grateful that I did, you know.
Well, you know what that means. If you're looking up funny stuff and then I popped up, that must mean I'm funny.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but it worked out great because I mean, obviously you could have responded to our ad directly, but instead you called corporate, which you could have been landed anywhere there. But thankfully you ended up with Micah, so you still ended up in the right place with all of us.
Yeah,
We're grateful for that.
I ended up with you anyway. So
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's great. All right, so for as far as a new agent, since you're kind of doing the hybrid system, when people come on board, would you recommend that they go in person first, or they do telesales? Like what's your recommendation from your observation so far?
I'm going to say the same thing that Eric Schmidt told me before I even sold any policies. And
Okay.
this was at the East Coast Conference when I met Micah for the first time in person up in Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. And I was talking to him and some other integrity partners that were there. And, you know, this was before I even got out there and started selling yet. And I basically asked their advice, you know, what do you think I should do? And they said, well, just don't go to telesales right away. If you go to telesales right away, 90-something% of people are just not going to succeed doing that. Go in home. And I told them my situation. I was in New York. They're like, dude, go to Connecticut, go to Jersey, whatever you got to do. Just get some in-home experience. So I it was definitely nerve wracking, and I didn't know everything yet, but again, Micah kind of walked me through that application process when I was sitting in a home for the first time. And yeah, I would recommend some in-home just to, be in front of the client, and it's more personable to me. I actually like doing in-homes, people, you can kind of feel the body language people have and everything for me. So it's I like both, obviously there's more of an opportunity once you get really good at this. You can make more money doing a virtual because it's less time consuming and you don't have to travel here and travel there and then get no showed and then drive somewhere else, but yeah, I mean, I would say to get some in-home experience first and then, try the virtual after a little bit and you know what you're doing.
Absolutely. I think I would agree with that. I mean, if an agent asks like which way should I start, I mean, like if you're open to it, I would go in person. Like
Yeah.
I think you definitely can gauge the client's reactions a little bit more. You can read the body language. You could look at all the visual cues. If you're on the phone, I mean, it's hard to pick up a lot out of someone's voice unless they have wild intonations and they have a wide range. So I mean, I think that's how I would recommend. I mean, but if someone comes in and says like I'm going to commit to telesales or I'm going to commit to virtual, I mean, as long as you have enough leads and you're willing to make mistakes and learn from them, you can make it happen no matter what.
Yeah. To add to that, it's just the cost efficiency. If you're starting brand new, you have one state license. If you're going to go virtual, you're going to have and pay for multiple state licenses to get you in the abundance of leads coming in.
Yeah. Do you have multiple states now, Jeff?
I have about 20 states.
Okay.
Because when I was in New York, I mean, after I did that month in the in-home, I just started investing a lot of whatever I was making, and I was still making money at my other job too. So I would take some of that money and then just invest it into buying other states. And then I started getting into the live transfers, and I spent about 10,000 just in live transfers, and I think I made like 12,000 back. So my skill set wasn't there yet to take that on, but it was good experience, right? So at least I didn't lose my shirt on it. And what I ended up doing was I had an orphan 401k from an old job that I had like 14 grand in, and I just cashed it out just to fund this business.
Right.
And I've been flipping that money ever since.
Nice.
You're committed.
Oh yeah, I'm all in now, bro. You know what I mean? I left my home, I left my job. So this is it for me, So, but I'm also a firm believer in, you can do anything that you really put your mind to if you're really disciplined and serious about it. And my whole thought process was, man, I'm here working 75, 80 hours a week sometimes to make somebody else rich, man. What if I put that time into myself? So I'm used to waking up early. I'm used to working long days. So for me to do it for myself, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
That's great.
If we could roll back just a little bit, earlier you're talking about you were working full time, driving a truck, and then you quit, and then you end up getting a job that were able to work 4 days. I mean, was that strategically planned so you can kind of like, work a progression into getting to this full time, or was it just turning out that way?
Yeah, no, because when that job I was at for 8 years, that was very demanding. I was telling you about. I basically, when I walked into the office to request the Friday off, I basically had it in my mind, if they tell me no, I'm giving them my 2 weeks notice.
Smart.
And that's what happened. My dispatcher, who was my supervisor at the time, I said, listen, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing something for myself right now, and I'm going to need more time to do it. So, is it going to be a problem if I can only work Monday through Thursday? And you're like, yeah, the truck's got to be on the road a certain amount of time. It's got to make the company a certain amount of money. I was like, all right, see you later. I was like, here's my 2 weeks. And I gave him my 2 weeks notice. And then just so happens that, a girl that I'm friends with, her husband owns a big construction company also. So he's like, listen, come work with me. He knew I had a whole lot of experience. So there was no training involved with me. You just put me in the truck and let me go, So he's like, listen, you come work with me. You could work Monday through Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you have for yourself, do your own thing. So I did that for a year and then came here full time.
Wow.
That's great.
That is like a great example of like focusing your energy on, because it's almost like the universe conspired to make this thing happen because you had been focusing on it already. So it's like,
yeah, absolutely, bro. And I completely believe in the power of manifestation, and like you said, where you put your attention, that's where everything's going to go, right?
Right.
So whether people realize it or not, all you're doing every single day is manifesting your own thoughts on a moment to moment basis. And the way you could prove that to everybody is there's not a single person in this chat right now or in this video here that anything they've done in their life didn't originally start as a thought, right? Everything started as a thought, and then you took the action, and then you got the result. So you need to realize also that on a moment-to-moment basis, that's happening throughout your day. So another thing, it's like when I talk to Mike about this a lot, it's like I don't get emotional. You know what I mean? Like if someone doesn't answer the phone or someone curses me out, whatever, I just laugh. I go right on to the next one, and I don't let that emotion, I don't let myself get emotional when things like that happen, because that'll just carry into ruining the rest of your day.
Right.
So, I'm a very spiritual person, and I big believer in all of that, man. Manifestation, thought, all of that stuff. So
Awesome. Well, you being able to compartmentalize your emotions and not letting that carry over. I mean, that's a veteran move right there.
Yeah.
As far as the sales game goes.
And that came with heavy meditation practice since I'm 32 years old. And I tell this story all the time, is that, I used to be the angry truck driver. If you cut me off and I had 90,000 pounds of concrete on the back, I was going to chase you down, and I was going to throw a corn muffin through your sunroof and have a buttery corn muffin explode all over your suit while you're on your way to a meeting. So I've hit people with orange juices, everything, right? So, so the whole moral of the story there is, when I began to meditate a lot, what that does is it allows you to control your thoughts and not let your thoughts control you. So now I started to notice a couple of years into doing it all the time that when somebody would cut me off or something like that would happen, and my normal reaction would, to be what I just told you, I would catch myself getting angry. And I would get mad for like maybe 15 seconds. I'd be like, you know what? Nothing happened. They're already down the road. Let it go. So, now I'm at a place where it doesn't matter what situation confronts me in the course of the day. I don't let it get to me emotionally, and I catch myself getting angry about it. And, I can't stress that enough, that probably meditation is probably the best thing that anybody can do to get to that level.
What made you take up meditation? Was it because of all the projectile food items you were launching at these people through
No, it's just something I just wanted to get into. And I honestly was doing it because I was really interested in astral projection, believe it or not. And I used to listen to all these types of shows, people saying they could do it, and I wanted to see if I could do it.
I've done it.
And I've done it, and I can do it at will now. Every time I meditate, it only takes me like 15 minutes to get into that state.
Well, how does your meditations go?
I meditate daily, actually. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, and I've done astral projection once before.
I want to say, like, I know what astral projection means, but I don't.
Does that involve like ayahuasca?
No.
Well,
No,
you could force it.
My experience was I was in a deep meditative state.
Yeah.
And it's like an outer body experience that your being has. And I was seeing myself from an aerial point of view. And that's all I can remember right now. I just remember it was a great experience.
Is that like in Doctor Strange, where the Sorcerer Supreme knocks his soul out of him?
Yeah, and that's and to be honest with you, I mean, it looks or sounds crazy, but it's 100% on point, because if you're somebody who's religious, I mean, I'm not, but mostly everybody believes in some type of life after death scenario, right? So if you believe that your consciousness is not really attached to your physical body, and this is just a vessel that you're temporarily in. And with meditation practice and alleviating all thoughts from your mind, you can enter into those states of separating your consciousness from your physical body. And it sounds crazy to people that maybe haven't done it, but I would say start practicing meditation and not talking inside of your own head. That's the whole trick to getting there.
Yeah, you mentioned, Jeff, you've been doing it for 8 years. When did you first do it? The astral projection?
It was probably like a year in, and it was because I was reading a book that was giving me techniques on how to do it, right? So basically it was saying shut the babbler up, right? We all have like 50-60,000 thoughts a day running through our minds. So if somebody's sitting down and they're saying they're meditating and they're talking inside their own head, they're really not meditating, right? So the whole point is to shut the babbler up, shut the voice inside your head off, and just if you could do that, if you can master not talking inside of your own head and sitting quietly, then you can master your thoughts throughout the course of the day when you're in an awake conscious state. So that means any challenges that may face you in the course of a day, whether it's, you're never, I'll never have thoughts in my mind come in saying, oh, the leads don't work. Oh, this business sucks. Oh, whatever it may be. Because if you can master not talking inside of your own head, you'll master any of that bullshit that normally comes in and interferes with you.
That's powerful.
Yeah, that's strong.
Well, I will say this. I mean, when you guys are talking about the level of spiritual connectivity you have with yourself and your ability to be able to focus on things, with Tiffany, maybe I'd be able to imagine that. for a truck driver, I mean, that you really blew my mind there, Jeff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Most
that's
people
great.
don't expect that, when I tell them that. And, some people look at you like you have 4 heads, when you start talking like that. But
Mhm.
it doesn't matter to me because
Right.
I had the experience, and it doesn't matter what somebody else says to me about it. I know it's real. I know I did it, and I don't need any outside confirmation from anyone, So, but for me, it bled into mastering your own thoughts, especially with this business, right? Because I went from a physical game to a mental game.
Right.
So it actually almost like it was prepared me for doing this job. Because if I would have found this earlier, I probably would have messed it up. Because I didn't think the same, back then. So,
Well, you're definitely going to manifest a lot of big things here because we're talking about wherever your focus goes, your energy grows in that particular area. You're well ahead of all of us as far as being able to channel that energy and getting it to where you want it to be.
well, I don't have a choice, Albert. I just turned 40 years old, so it's do or die for me. You know what I mean? I left everything else behind. So for me, I have to make this work. So I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make that happen. And it's pretty wild because I was just telling Micah this yesterday. He was like, how does it feel to, have your $1,000 month or whatever? And because I never made that much money before ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'll be honest with you, bro. It's like it's almost as if it feels like I don't even have it because I feel like I'm not doing enough. And he goes, well, I know exactly what you're talking about, So it's like, yeah, it's like I did that, I hit that mark, but for me, I'm watching people hit 50, 60, all these huge numbers. And for me, I just want to be busy enough all day and keep my activity high enough all day that I could do better than that as well.
Awesome. Well, you continue on with your journey. We'll be watching you, and we're looking forward to learning some astral projection from you as well.
I'll
Yeah.
come down to California, bro. No ayahuasca needed.
Always welcome. But before we let you go, Jeff, I got a couple final questions. So if there's an agent out there watching and they're struggling, what advice would you give to them?
If they were struggling?
Yes.
I would say get back to the basics. I mean, we all have access to the same training. I mean, there's so much training. There's so much stuff on YouTube, so much stuff. There's so many group talks and Zooms you could join every single day. And I would say just get back to the basics. And that I always think about this too, Albert. It's like, what's the difference between somebody who writes, 10,000 a month and somebody who writes 100,000 a month? It's like we all have access to all the same stuff, right? So it's just going to be a matter of work ethic, dedication, discipline. And now that I have this newfound freedom where I don't have to be somewhere every single day, I find my discipline slipping a little bit here and there, and I got to get back on track myself. So, yeah, I mean, I would say just get back into the training and, just be honest with your, upline and the people that are helping you and just tell them exactly where you feel like you're coming up short. And, for me, I would always be honest with Micah if I was struggling a little bit, and he would always have concern and call me and ask me what's going on. And, I would just be honest, say, this is what I don't understand. I don't, this, and then we would work on that.
That's very sound, practical advice. And you're absolutely right. Freedom is a double-edged sword. Next question. What does your daily routine look like?
Yeah. So, I've been trying to wake up and go to the gym early, but sometimes it doesn't work out. I end up going later. And then I'm just on the phones all day. You know what I mean? I try to make sure I have enough work in front of me to keep my activity high all day. And I do need to, get a little better at that as well, because I'll just keep running through the lead packs that I've already had when I should just be buying more, right? So how do I get from 20 to 40? It's going to be getting double the amount of leads that I had the month I did 20, you
It's
know?
that simple. It's
Yeah.
really that simple.
So, and if I was spending, if, you know, if we were doing like 1,000 or 1,500 a week or whatever it was, it's like, you know, yeah, it's a little intimidating to once you get that money in, you know, because now I'm thinking, oh, some of this money's taxes, some of this money is going to be for my bills, and you know, so it's like a little nerve wracking for me because I've never had to be in this situation before. I've always had a guaranteed paycheck, right? So I'm still learning all the to manage everything too, you know. So uh, yeah, I mean, I just want to get to I want to get to those higher levels, man. And obviously, you know, that's what you hear, right? You want to get to the higher levels, you got to spend more money.
Awesome. And then finally for us, Jeff, if not for money, what do you do this for?
Honestly, I'm the type of person that, you know, I like to help people, you know. I'm a very empathic person. I usually connect with people really well. I can usually understand how they're feeling, what they're doing. And to me, this was a great fit. I mean, driving a truck, yeah, I paid the bills, but it wasn't gratifying in any type of way, shape, or form. This, you know, when you leave a home and you're actually able to help them and get them something in place and you leave knowing that their family's protected, it's just a gratifying feeling, you know.
I agree. Well, awesome stuff. You know, Jeff, I mean, you know, appreciate you coming on and just sharing your experience so far after 2 months. Really happy for your success. You know, I'm looking forward to big things coming from you going forward. And
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
yeah. All right. Well, we got Jeff Beverley. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming on. Jason Steiner, appreciate you coming on and sharing about prosperity. John, you know, as always, Tiffany, looking forward to big things from you. Producer Bryce, for all of you guys that got on, remember, whatever you decide you guys want to focus on, you put enough energy into something, like something's going to grow from there. If it's going to be good, it's going to be bad. That's kind of depending on what type of energy you're putting into that. So let's be mindful of that as we continue to push forward. We're in control. Let's focus. Let's get what we want. Appreciate y'all.
Let's get it.
Bye.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys once again for supporting. If you guys want to see more of that, please make sure you like, subscribe, click on this link here to subscribe, click on this link for the next video.